People of the world, welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 235. You're in for a treat. You are in for a treat. Round two, Elias Zepeda is back on the show. The first time he was on the show, oh me, oh my, guess what happened? We learned that through incredible suffering, through courage, through traversing a nightmarish experience from Mexico to the United States. His parents, who knew almost no one, spoke almost no English, did the impossible, immigrated to the United States, had education flowing from their souls. They knew that if they put in the work, that their children could do incredible things. Now, I know that Elias's siblings are very well-educated and super successful, as is he. His parents kept asking him, when are you going to get your master's? How about now? Where's your master's? Where are your master's degree? So he and his siblings have done very well. Originally from San Luis Potosi in Mexico, which is a couple hours from the capital, immigrated to the United States at 3 years old, lived in a garage. Okay, there's no substitute for those kinds of life experiences. Parents didn't speak any English. He was a talkative kid, ended up doing improv and drama in high school, literally traveling. We talked about the correlation between improv and networking. He's a regular podcast speaker. Didn't do any drugs in high school. So kudos to Elias for keeping it calm, cool, and collected. We're going to pick up around high school. He's the CEO of Need Clients now, 9 full-time employees. They're absolutely killing it for their clients. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Elias Zepeda.
What's going on? Thanks so much for having me again. First time was certainly a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what questions I'll be asked this time. Certainly very different questions than the average podcast, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. I will take that as a compliment, as it was intended. So we got as far as high school. Today, I want to talk a bit about the marketing, the sales funnel, and all that sort of jazz. But let's pick up where we left off. You're doing improv in high school. There is a lot of pressure from your parents to get educated. What did they expect from you in terms of GPA in high school and that sort of thing?
Gosh, they expected me to really get as best grades as possible. It wasn't really like you have to have a 4.0 or like a 3.8. I was predominantly I was like a 3.0 average, really. And that was kind of by choice because I knew I really could have worked harder, and I didn't do the bare minimum, but I also didn't really just give it my 100%, and that's just the truth. So the couple times when I had some some C's in there and some report cards, it was certainly something that was brought to my attention. But there were other subjects that I excelled in, like English, and obviously like drama and just these other topics that you had that I did pretty well in. So it was kind of a combination, some good, some bad. But certainly compared to my siblings, it wasn't in the high threes or the fours. So that's kind of what it was always compared to. But I had a good time in high school. It was a great experience, and I have no regrets for how I lived my life, during those years.
Many entrepreneurs find themselves not 4.0ing. And a lot of the 4.0ers gravitate towards corporate spaces, because in a corporate space, they're like, here is your list of things you must do. If you do exactly these things appropriately, you will be rewarded. And that works for those sorts of personalities. And they become VPs, senior VPs, directors. They make good money. Fantastic. They work at law firms, stuff like that. But a lot of the entrepreneurs, in my experience, B's and C's, some A's, they're not the people that are getting these huge scholarships, but they have other skills, right? Which you clearly have. And they prioritize things like speed, right? Getting things done quickly, not having to have a trial by committee for every decision that needs to be made. It just is what it is, and you move on. So with business owners that you've met, have you noticed a certain kind of personality that these people have, entrepreneurs in general?
Absolutely. They also value speed just like I do, and this is coming from someone that has a company name, need clients now, like as in like now, right? But I've noticed that a lot of us, including myself, there are different types of CEOs and entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are also, what we refer to as visionaries. They have goals and ideas and things of that matter, and it's interesting because it's a great quality to have, but it could also be a disadvantage as well. It's like, hey, we got to focus on building one campaign, building one funnel, working with this target audience, right? Because a lot of advantages to having that skill set, but if you let it get too far away from itself, it can really you can really lose the team's focus. And so that's one of the things that I really noticed. And when you meet with a client, a CEO, or a business owner, you begin to understand that the type of a CEO that they are, how they lead, how they manage, and what are some of their good skill sets, and then what are some of the disadvantages that they're working with against. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think this whole visionary thing is very fascinating because in high school, uh, maybe in drama and in improv, like you were doing, that plays in because you can kind of envision the audience laughing in a certain way. You can envision a certain energy. You can envision kind of like a skit, or if they say this, I'll do that. So that works in that set. But in math, you know what I mean? Like in calculus, it's like, no, do the problem, dude. Maybe in English, you could like envision a story, like if you're doing creative writing.
Yeah.
But in my experience, it's very rare. You go into a class and they're like, we're going to read this book and you're going to tell me what they said in the book so that I know that you read the book. And it's sort of like, I'm not a robot, man. Like let me. So I think I would have done really well in like a Montessori environment where it's like, what do you want to learn? In what direction do you want to go? I think I would have flourished in that sort of thing. That's not for everybody. And the risks of being an entrepreneur aren't for everybody either. So your two siblings, they have more typical careers, don't they? Are they entrepreneurs? Aren't they like
No.
doctors?
Yeah, they're psychologists and also university professors. So they're more into that
So what
different
is
type
it
of
about
culture.
you? So why you? Why you entrepreneur?
Gosh, that's a good question. I remember my father at an early age. My father was an entrepreneur. He has a small business, and I remember him planting the seeds, to my sisters and I, and saying things like, "Hey, look at this. I'm with you guys on a weekday, and if I had a job, I probably wouldn't be able to do these things." Like he would really emphasize the freedom aspect of being a business owner, and he'd plant those seeds, whether it was intentional or not. He's like, "Hey, look, I'm able to do this now because I have no one else telling me what to do." So it's really interesting to look back and see those seeds being planted. But despite those seeds, my sisters decided to take the routes, and that was the best route for them. And somehow I got hit with that bug to start the company at such a young age. So I'm grateful for that.
Hmm. My daughter says, I want to be a business owner, you know? And growing up, I was raised by teachers. And so I became a teacher and then left that because I wasn't too thrilled with the confines, right, of the structure of the system, man. You understand what I'm saying, Elias? So do you ever feel boxed in? If you were 9 to 5ing it, even if you were making like 220 a year, right? Benefits, bonuses, whatever, like this senior VP of marketing role at some whatever Fortune 500, do you feel like that would be a nightmare because you're just like, let me make decisions and don't box me in?
Absolutely. I think it'd be a nightmare for everyone involved,
Ah,
for the employer and also for me too. I mean, I'm not sure. There may be some companies that are managing differently and are not micromanaging and give a little more freedom and value freedom and those types of things. So they're it may work, but I think I've been so used to doing my own thing for such a long time at such an early age. I think it'd be really hard to go back and be a challenge, and it'd be different. But who knows? Who knows? One of the things I wanted to mention is like you said that that you want to be a business person. I was not really like that. Like in my younger years, my mom would say things like, hey, I think you're going to be a great businessman. I say, no, like, and looking back into why, you know, business people, they're not really portrayed that well in movies. And that's something that's really interesting. It's like, you're a successful business owner. Oh, you must have scammed someone, or you must have done this, you must have done that. And if you look back at all the movies, and gosh, we can come up with so many examples. Titanic, he was successful and he was evil, you know, and so many different examples of people kind of positioning them in a negative light. And I think that's doing a disservice towards this new era of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I literally have a picture of Scrooge McDuck with a flag with a dollar sign on it on my computer. I love Uncle Scrooge. I'm all about Uncle Scrooge. He goes swimming in his money. You can't swim in money, kids. Don't dive into coins. You're gonna hurt yourself. Look, I have a friend who is a professor who's received awards from Melinda Gates, like literally on stage. I mean, he was a White House champion of change. Super impressive, the work he's done as an academic and as a scientist. He thinks billionaires are psychopaths. Just immediate, just judgment. I'm like, bro, you know. So we come at it from a very different perspective. And I think if you spend time in either camp for too long, you tend to sort of get indoctrinated into the ways of thinking of that particular camp. And so, are there psychopath billionaires? Yeah, probably, for sure. You know, there's hoarding money. I had a friend of mine who was in Nigeria. She was working for some guy who had like 9, you know, Mercedes Benzes and, you know, whatever. And she referred to it as a diamond in a dumpster was kind of the analogy she used. And she's from Nigeria. Anyway, she's working with this guy. And she said, why don't you, literally outside the gates of your compound are people, like kids are starving, you know? It's like, why don't you just feed these people with this unbelievable wealth you have? And he said, I would rather take all my money, cash it out, put oil and salt on it and eat it than give it to them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I was whoa, like, how do you not see that as anything other than demonic? And
Yeah.
it's just, I guess these people exist. They're out there. They have, because for me, it's all, I've always wanted to do philanthropy. That's been a goal of mine ever since I was a kid. I want to be successful and be a philanthropist. So I don't get it. Do you get that perspective of just dog eat dog? It's mine. I earned it.
No, absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, really what it comes down to is like serving people. You know, we're serving people. We're providing a value. We're providing a service. So I don't know if that type of attitude, how far it'll get you, because I think eventually people don't want to associate with people like that. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust. And if you realize that, you know, that giving is a really big part of it, you're going to have more people that gravitate towards that. So
I'm with you too, but I was shocked when she said that. I was like, what? He did what? All right. High school to college. So you're a senior in high school. You're very popular. Everyone wants your autograph.
I never said that. That is not true.
Like you can't go shopping. It's very frustrating. It's like, I get your autograph. You're like, okay, fine. Signing people. And then college comes around. Scholarships, no scholarships. Where did you go? What did you intend
No
to do?
scholarships. I went to Cal State Fullerton. You know, it's a university in Orange County, California. It was, I don't remember what they refer to it as, but you know, it's not the type of schools where people move there and stay there. I'm sure they had dorms, but that wasn't really the thing. It was can't remember what they referred to it as, but it's a type of school where you're basically just driving to. It's not one of those, you know, traditional universities that you hear about or see on TVs and stuff like that. But it was a great experience. It was, and I'm happy to say that there are a couple of people. I just spoke to someone last week that started a social media marketing company, and him and I had various classes. So there's a couple people, like about 2 people, that I still keep in contact with from the college days. You know, my experience with college is I had to take because I started the company while I was in college, so I had to take the 6 to 9 p.m. classes, the once a week, versus versus the Monday, Wednesday. So I had to really align my schedule so that I was able to work during the day, because that's when I first started the company. So I had to take those night classes so that I had time during the day to work on my business.
So you don't have to answer this, but how old are you?
34.
34. So you're on year, I don't know, 15, something like that, like
Yeah,
of the
like
company?
13, 14. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So most businesses crumple up and die before year 3. And so in those early years, were there some major hurdles that you had to jump over to survive as a company?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest, the first several years it was trial and error. Actually, for a long time it was trial and error. And
Okay,
that's
fine. It's still trial and error.
yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a mentor the first couple of years. So it was really just a matter of figuring things out. And we were, such a small company. I think a lot of those stats, it's like 70% of businesses fail. A lot of those like negative stats that you hear, those are the companies that grow really quickly, or they have investments and that type of stuff. When you keep it super small, I think those stats are a little different, because we were, a fairly small business the first couple of years. But yeah, lots of challenges. I mean, if I look back at some of the emails that I wrote in year 1 or year 2, or some of the proposals that we sent out, it's like cringe, cringe, cringe. Like
Ah,
I cannot believe people would hire us with the things that I
right.
had in my proposal. It's like, thank you. And it's really it's really cool to look back, and I really think that our proposals were terrible, but
Right.
people hired us because they can sense that passion. They sense like, okay, they're a fairly new company, and they're gonna work their tails off. They're
That's exactly
interested,
right.
and I think they're gonna work hard. So let's give them a chance. But if I look back at some of these proposals compared to obviously where we're at now, it's a significant difference.
I used to do reporting, and my staff and their reports compared to the stuff I was sending out, it's not even in the ballpark. And it's so funny to me that, whatever ego I have thinking I'm doing a good job, when someone else that actually does a good job steps in and does it, and the difference between those two, stark contrast. Esther Sass in chat writes, hello, where did you get your funding at such an early age and no experience?
We didn't have funding. We were a self-funded company. Even to this day, we're self-funded. So fortunate to not have taken any types of loans or work with investors. We've been offered in the past, those types of investment opportunities, but we've been self-funded. So the first year, is being a very small, lean company, any of the revenue we would generate, any out of the profits out of that revenue, we slowly reinvest that into, the second hire, the third hire, the fourth hire. So kind of a unique situation that we had there, but no funding. And as far as a no experience, like I said, we were passionate about what we were doing. And so I think our clients, let's say our first 5 clients, they saw that passion and they decided to give us a chance. And I'm really, really grateful for that.
Oh, yeah. You keep saying we. Was it you and a business partner or?
No, it was just me. No business partners even to this day.
Oh, amen. I had a business partner. I saw what a business divorce looks like.
It's ugly. Yeah.
Ooh, it's as ugly. It is as ugly as a matrimonial divorce, one could say. And it was like we were the kids. It was very dysfunctional. But if it weren't for all that, I wouldn't own a company. I talk about being a visionary. I was an employee, and I saw the company just on this death spiral, and I was like, okay, I can jettison out of this with my own company. I can do it if I'm smart and I play my cards right, and I did. I managed to do that. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe I own a company. It's surreal. Do you ever have imposter syndrome where you're like, I'm leading all these people, I'm paying all these people, I know what I'm doing, I do the QuickBooks, I do this, I do all this stuff. It's not like I'm incompetent, but I'm still like a 6-year-old kid, like in my head. Yeah, I'm still like that 9-year-old in school, you know, who's like gets nervous and all that sort of stuff. Do you ever feel that way?
Not that often, and I think yeah, I'm fortunate to not have gone through that because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, have that. But I think manifesting is a real thing, and if you can envision yourself doing these things, somehow it works. And I can't explain it, the science behind it, or there probably isn't any science, but I'm a believer in manifestation. And I think that's a skill set that they should be teaching and in
Oh,
high school
dude,
and in college. I think it's really powerful. And
it's
I know
very
it sounds
powerful.
really corny, but if you can envision yourself doing something, let's say speaking on a stage, right, or closing a big deal in a big boardroom, like there are things that I can look back to that I've envisioned in my mind. And maybe, I don't know, it was an actual term called manifesting, but just little things you envision in your mind, and then you see them actually like play out years later. It's honestly, it's a really incredible thing.
I envisioned becoming a Spanish teacher. I envisioned becoming a business owner. I envisioned speaking Chinese. I envisioned a book. Dude, it's the skill. And I don't like the word vision because I want to smell it and taste it and feel it too. So it's like to say that it's like a vision, that's the word we use to describe it, but it's more than that. You know, it's literally transporting yourself into some moment that is not the current one mentally. And they've done a ton of studies on this where they have runners run their race and they find that the mind is firing in the same way that it would when they're actually making their muscles move and running like a 100-meter dash. There is science to it. And it's such a good reminder. I need to set a calendar reminder and just do 10 minutes of visualization, not meditation. There's a huge difference. And I think people get this twisted all the time. They go, "Oh, I meditate." Well, if you're trying to empty your mind or just let the thoughts flow past you, that's one thing. Trying to be like, because I mean, your backdrop is on many people's envisioning board. You know what I
It's
mean?
been
Like,
on mine too. It's been on mine too. I remember going to a friend's house in downtown Los Angeles, and he had floor to ceiling windows all throughout his living room. And I'm like, I want to have that one day, So that's one of the things that I manifested in my life.
yeah, exactly. It's literally like a bucket list item that is your backdrop right now for a lot of people. The beach is another big one, big house, and then getting really specific with your manifestations too, like logging into QuickBooks, going to the invoice tab, seeing $190,000 of closed business. You know what I mean? That sort of thing, or logging into your Wells Fargo account and seeing
Yeah.
$426,412. That sort of thing. So
Here's something else too.
please.
I just read something about how you can utilize that, as you're strategizing a strategy for your client. It's like you're actually like improvising as the target audience. What are their fears? What are their challenges? And that's a really unique exercise that I'm gonna start implementing with my team. It's like, let's pretend that we are our prospects. Like, what are we talking about? Let's have a conversation as we were the prospects. And I think that's a really interesting exercise that'll be really helpful in determining, the challenges and the fears and the concerns that the client's going to have. And that's going to really help your copywriting and your funnel building when you really understand where they're coming from, what are the words that they're saying, and so forth. And I thought that was a really, really neat exercise.
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like getting out of your body, going and imagining you're your client, and then envisioning from their perspective.
Yeah, and that's so vital in like today's marketing landscape. You have to go really deep. You have to understand. You can't generalize anything when it comes to writing copy or building campaigns. You really have to get in deep, and you really have to understand that target audience. And I think that's one of the most important aspects in marketing, is truly understanding your target audience and understanding that avatar at a very deep level. And that's going to really help your marketing.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm starting to futz around with Instagram and Pinterest. We're getting like 2,000 views on the pins we're putting up there. Do you guys play in that space at all? Because when you say top of funnel, I just get confused. I don't know exactly what you're talking about when you say that.
Absolutely. Well, we don't really play in that. And that's so interesting because even with our own accounts, I have zero Instagram posts. And I know it sounds so bad, but we're still able to run successful business because we rely on paid ads, right? So when it comes to top of funnel, it's like, how are people finding that first step? That's all it means. It doesn't have to mean paid ads. Paid ads is really just something that's going to speed things up, right? I can launch an ad today and tomorrow I have people already visiting that page and I may have leads coming in already. But in your instance, if you guys are using, organic Instagram or Pinterest or whatever that traffic source is, that would be your top of funnel. What are they seeing first? What is their first impression? And then what are the next steps, right? So that's your second step of your sales funnel. So it can absolutely be organic. And if you do a good job at it, it serves its purpose. Organic it really is amazing. It can really make a big difference. The problem with that is it takes time to develop. You can't create content and then a week later be like, hey, where are my leads? That's not how it works. Some of these things, they take a long time. They take time to build engagement, to actually start seeing the results and the traction from it. And so that's what we mean by top of funnel is what is the first messaging? What is the first connection that they have? And what does that messaging say, right? And that'll help lead them to that next step. So in your instance, Pinterest and Instagram, that could be top of funnel.
Yeah, it is. It is for many things. We decided to promote an episode. We may do this with you if you want to. Let me know. Richard Linton is a tank commander. He wrote a book. He was in a movie with Sylvester Stallone. He's just a really interesting character, and he has a British accent. So I'm a sucker for British accents. and so we went to LinkedIn because we knew he was going to be back on the show for episode 3, and you're going to be episode 3 in a few months probably. We let's do an event. So we invited 500 people. And so far 46 are attending the event. And guess what the event is? Just the show. Just another episode of the show. You know what I mean? But it just goes to show that top of funnel is whatever. It's whatever whatever gets them there. So
you can retarget those people too.
Sure. So of the probably 70 people that will sign up, I expect 30%, 20% to actually show up for the thing. But we've already seen more followers on the LinkedIn page. I'm expecting more subscribers on the YouTube. So yeah, I'm in love with organic. I always have been. But I also have a soft spot for pay-per-click. It's taken us 10 years to find someone who's really, really, really good. And his name's Alec. He's incredible. He's our pay-per-click guy.
Mm-hmm.
But LinkedIn ads, we played a little bit in that space. Facebook ads, we played a little bit. I just know that you have to have the absolute best of the best, because otherwise you're lighting money on fire. You know what I mean? So you guys must have really gone through a lot of, training, or you got lucky and you found some amazing people right off the bat. But doing pay-per-click well, people don't understand. I mean, you need absolute rock stars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to know someone that knows what they're doing. And that actually works as a benefit for us, because one of the tactics that marketing agencies use, and you may do this as well, is you're auditing someone's landing page, or auditing their ads, right? And that's kind of a really easy way to demonstrate your knowledge, demonstrate your expertise. I just did this last week, with a client in San Diego, or a prospect in San Diego, I should say. It's like, hey, I looked at your ads. And for some of these companies that aren't really advertising very heavily, like they don't even know the marketing technology that is available. I'm like, I can look exactly to see what keywords like you're advertising with. I can take a look at the ads library. I can see what the ads say, and I can visit the landing pages, right? So like them, they're like, oh, how do you know this? It's already, semi-impressive to some of like the smaller businesses. The bigger businesses, of course, know the technology's out there. But that's kind of one of the tactics is you're looking at other people's work and you're finding the gaps in there, and that really helps close deals too, is because people are like, oh, well, I didn't know that I could have been doing this, this, and this, right? And so that helps build trust, and that helps get the momentum going when you're promoting your agency.
No doubt. So it is 10:59. We have only a couple of minutes left. We have made it all the way from high school to college. so we've moved like 4 years into the future. Next episode we'll pick up maybe college, start of the business, early years, that sort of vibe. So we're excited to have you back. But wanted to give you an opportunity, as always, to just let the folks know where they can reach you. And they already know why they should hire you. So how can they reach you?
Awesome. You can reach me on our website. It's needclientsnow.com. I'm also on Instagram, Elias_Zepeda. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And feel free to reach out with any questions. If you don't know what a sales funnel is, or if you want us to evaluate your sales funnel and your current sales process and your digital marketing tactics, we're happy to do that complimentary audit and take a look at what's working for you, what's not working for you, and find those opportunities that can really make a difference in your business.
Yep. And it's so funny to me that people will hear that free audit and they'll go, I don't want to do it because he's just going to sell me and I'm not interested in that whole mentality. It's like, dude, do you have any idea the value of a legitimate Manhattan-based sales funnel, pay-per-click, professional team with 14 years of experience taking a look at your stuff? Like, for free, it's worth at least like 2,000, 2,500.
My competitors, they're charging for that. Absolutely. My competitors, they charge just for a blueprint, and we give that away to our clients. Like, we'll actually go and we'll strategize your sales funnel, the one that we're recommending for you based off of your business model and your business plan and your target audience and all that stuff. We actually provide that, for free. So absolutely. When we do our strategy sessions or audits, I make it a really big point to provide as much value as possible. So you will get a lot of value from it, whether you decide to work with us or not. It'll be worth your time. That's for sure.
Seriously. I mean, and yeah, there's value there. It's not some throwaway garbage sales line. Like, we'll do an audit, you click, and they send you something. It's like, no, this is legitimate, people. You need to understand.
It's a live call, and we'll look at what you're doing like in real time. And that's another thing too, is you'll get the audit done by someone that knows what they're doing. And we'll be able to actually give you the feedback in real time. So we'll look at your pages and we'll make strategic recommendations live. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, for real. It's a ton of value there. Alejandra, Esther, and Brad, thanks for swinging by the live show. To everyone else watching the show after the fact, like most of you do, thank you so much. YouTube.com/SendItRising is where we are live, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Catch us on iTunes and Spotify after the fact, 10 other podcast platforms as well. Send It Rising Facebook page. You can check us live or after the fact. Also, my personal LinkedIn, that's Kellen Kautzman. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias Zepeda on the show today. Final words of wisdom.
Let's take some action. That's what it's about. We have to take some action. So figure out something new to do for top of funnel, whether that's going to be exploring a new ad source, a new traffic source, or focus on something organic that you haven't done. Maybe it's Instagram Live, maybe it's Facebook Live, but try something new this week to get the ball rolling in your small business.
Let's go. See y'all next time.